Monday Night Wars podcast.
Welcome to the Monday Night Wars. I didn't say hello. I usually say hello. I didn't say hello.
Yeah, it's usually hello.
We gotta redo this. We gotta redo this. We gotta redo this. It's
okay. This absolutely will not make the cut. Go ahead.
Hello and welcome to the Monday Night Wars. It is April 28th, 1997, and we are live with an abridged version of WCW Nitro because they got preempted for the NBA playoffs. So it's a short version. I am Scott. With me, as always, is Joseph. And since we have a little bit of time here, because we're probably going to breeze through this Nitro, there's some news of the day that we got to discuss, right?
There is some news of the day. Number one, for our podcast, and number two, for WWE and really WCW, if you think about it. So we'll start with the podcast stuff because that will not get cut out. With our podcast, we have started to grow even more. We're starting to get some compliments on the fact that we're adding the images to like show like, hey, these are the people that are in it and stuff. These are all new things that we're learning.
I'm glad we are doing that. I'm glad we are doing that. I'm very glad that we are doing that. Joseph is doing it. For the record, all credit to Joseph for all that shit. I pop on these. I'm like a celebrity. I'm like, hey, I'm here for an hour and I'm out. Baby.
Yeah.
My check. I'm done. And Joseph, yeah. I am the celebrity you hire for a B movie where you can tell that dude shot all of his scenes in 30 minutes in an office, and that's it. That's me. That's me for the purposes of this pod. Joseph is the guy who puts his heart and soul into it. So if you like this pod, it's of no credit to me. It's all Joseph. Anyways, Joseph, you were going to talk about all the heart and soul you're putting into the pod. So go ahead.
All the heart and soul that the royal we are putting into the podcast.
We. Very important.
So we got some compliments on the, adding the images, and we've gotten some complaints about audio. And the audio complaint was by a guy who I think was just being a smartass, to be honest, because it was more like the fact that like we don't have incredibly professional grade everything is really what the complaint sounded like.
Yeah.
But I reached out to him. I was like, hey man, if you want to explain that, like feel free to reach out to us. And he didn't. So it's like, all right, well, whatever.
Okay. Is it my audio? Is it your audio? Because you got the good mic. I got this.
He didn't specify. He just wanted to complain. That's what he did. It's the internet.
Maybe I got to upgrade.
So, but we are doing well. We're like, this podcast is growing. I will say though, this is a trend I've noticed. I wanted to never be the guy who started a podcast with like, hey, like, share, subscribe. But I think we have to because we have. So on YouTube right now, we've got less than 20 subscribers right now on YouTube. YouTube is our kind of building platform. We did a lot of our work mostly on Spotify, and now we're building YouTube because now we have the ability to do video. And usually if you're on YouTube, you're not just going to listen to audio. So that one's building. In the last 2 episodes, we've had, I'm pretty sure, over 120 views per episode. And we have less than 20 subscribers. So people are watching.
Hell yeah.
Subscribe to this shit, man. Just hit the subscribe button, all that. So anyways, that's
comment, subscribe, smash that like button, do all that crap that they say. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever all that jack shit is. Anyways, appreciate you guys checking out. But we do have news as far as wrestling goes. The first one we definitely won't cut out, which is obviously this week, Steve Mongo McMichael passed away. The legendary football player, not so legendary wrestler. But me and Scott were talking about this the other day because we were doing our little watch-a-thon. By the way, happy birthday to Scott. It's a couple days after his birthday. So, shout out in the comments, happy birthday. So we're doing our wrestling watch along, and we were talking about him. Like, we loved Mongo as a commentator. We thought he really started to kind of get it.
Well, we didn't like him at first, but he grew
Correct.
on us for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started like by the end of it, he was really starting to kind of figure it out, right? And you can, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to the beginning of the pod. You'll watch us grow in our appreciation for Mongo on commentary. And then he becomes a wrestler. And unfortunately, that will never grow in appreciation. He shouldn't be a wrestler, or at the very least, he shouldn't be used the way he was. Let's go with that. I think that's a very fair kind of middle of the line.
Shouldn't have been a horseman. Should not have been a horseman. You know,
go ahead.
If he had come to me and said, "Hey, baby, I want to wrestle," I'd be like, let's send you to the power plant. Let's get you on some house shows. Let's get you going. But they just put him right into it. He just became a horseman immediately. Really no training. He was kind of, in my opinion, he was kind of set up to fail, right?
I agree. But that being said, we were talking about it, and in 90s wrestling, we kind of have a joke where it's like whoever your favorite 90s wrestler is probably a bag of shit. One thing we can say about Mongo is we've never heard a horrible story about him. I'm sure there's some people who he rubbed the wrong way in their time, I'm sure. But I mean like a legitimately awful, horrible story. We've never heard it. He was seemingly a good dude. So no, were we in love with his wrestling? No. But obviously he seemed to be a good guy. He had, after Deborah, he had another family who loved him unconditionally. So that's all you can ask for. That's really, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, far more than wrestling. So rest in peace, Mongo.
Yeah.
I tip my hat to you, but I don't have my headsets on. It's a whole thing. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's not working. It's not working. Yeah, well, when we were talking about this, I said, "Oh man, I think like we should do something special for Mongo because like he's like the first wrestler of the era that we're talking about that's died since we've done the podcast." And you said, "Well, Kevin Sullivan died while we were doing the podcast," and I said, "Well, the first non-piece of shit who's died."
That's fair. That's fair. You're not wrong.
Not a good guy.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not gonna.
I wish no ill. I wish no ill. But you said we've never heard anything about Mongo. We've heard a lot about Kevin Sullivan. So that's the difference. So moment of silence for Mongo, and we're back.
All right. So the last thing
that we're going to talk
about is WWE WrestleMania just happened this last weekend, and normally what we do is we'll spend a little bit of time talking about a major pay-per-view that just happened in real time, and I'll give my thoughts on it real quickly. Scott doesn't really watch them; he pops in and out. I'll give my thoughts on it. However, we've kind of had to change something since we've been doing this podcast. Oh, and my nephew Jude, I just got a notification on Discord, just stole home. So congrats, Jude. We've been doing this thing where we'll have like unedited versions on the Patreon, and then we'll have the edited versions on standard. With doing video and adding all the images and trying to edit things and all that, it has become a real pain in the ass to separate those two things. So I haven't been. The last few weeks, it's just been like if we go an hour and 16, that's the episode, because just such a pain to really go into the nitty-gritty of it. So this will be a slight change. With something like this, where we're talking about WrestleMania, that's a very clean cut that I can make. I can say, okay, we're starting at this time or we're ending at this time, cut it out, and we can have that as the unedited version that's on our Patreon, and then the standard one will go on our YouTube and Spotify and stuff. So if you want to know where that cut is, it's right now. Oh, we're back.
Yeah. The only thing I want to mention, which can be for the regular pod, is that, you mentioned that we've got a YouTube. We also have a Twitter if people want to follow, where you can follow Joseph fighting the entire wrestling community. I saw those tweets, man. I saw your tweet, your WrestleMania live tweeting of everybody's wrong about Jey Uso. Shut up, I hate you. And I was like, oh my God, he's just fighting the entire wrestling community. This is fantastic.
That never is what I said.
So if you want to follow our Twitter and get tweets from Joseph where he fights the entire wrestling community, go on our Tweeter. What's our Tweeter handle? Is it just Monday Night Wars?
No, that one's a weird one because they couldn't get what I wanted. Let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, it's too long.
I just put it at the end. That one is Mon Night Wars Pod. I might have to change that. I don't like that Twitter handle, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're right. Mon, M-O-N, Night, N-I-G-H-T, Wars, W-A-R-S, Pod.
Let me see if I can change that.
We've got 15 whole followers. Well, I just gave them the handle, and now you're going to change it mid-show? That's insane. That's just insane behavior. I'm going to just keep going because I need to stop this train from going off the rails. So we're going back to April 28th, 1997. We're at the Scope. The Scope. That's what it's called. Not arena, not auditorium, the Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. If you're in the Navy, you know they call it something else, that town. And I'll just let you guess what it is.
Yeah, you can Google machine that.
Yeah, well, it's not hard. Norfolk, that's not, I don't think that's a hard one to figure out. I don't think that's a hard one to divine what they call that. Anyways, we start off, we got a video package of Ric Flair beating Vader's ass from like 1993. Because you got to know. Because they're still mad about Vader leaving. So we've got to remind you that Ric Flair beat him up in 1993. And the purpose of this is that he's got a match with Kevin Nash and the NWO at Slamboree. And this is Ric Flair knows how to beat up big guys. That's the whole point of this.
I will say it's a good guise for clearly taking a shit on Vader. That's really what it is. But I do understand it to an extent. It's like, okay, I get it.
It makes sense, but we also know what they're doing.
Yes.
We know what they're doing. After that, though, this is a short episode of Nitro. It's only an hour because they got preempted by the NBA playoffs, so they got to keep it kind of tight. We go straight to commentary, and the bagpipes hit.
Yep.
And we've got Roddy Piper and Ric Flair. They come out to the ramp. They head over to commentary, and it just immediately goes insane. Joseph, why don't you tell me about this? Because it's Ric Flair and Roddy Piper. It's going to be insane.
It is insane, but it's also really, really quick. Piper says he's tired of hearing about the NWO. I'm going to foreshadow real quickly. We'll see this exact same segment the next week, but they intentionally put it on its head next week, which I do actually kind of like. He calls the young generation too lazy to fill some potholes. Remember, we've been talking about for weeks now, the NWO has been saying you guys paved the road, but you left potholes everywhere. He wants them here tonight. Flair says they're ready to go, and then we awkwardly cut to the intro. It literally just abruptly just ends. I was ready for this to be like a fire, because they started off really well. Well, and then all of a sudden it just goes, and it's done. It's like, oh, okay. So,
well, we've got it. Flair says he's going to dance all night and maybe dance a little longer, and then he starts grooving, and then we're into the intro.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
I'm giving it a C because of it's not bad by any stretch. It just could have been so much more. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so we go into the intro. We come out and we got our first match. We've got Dean Malenko versus Prince Aaya for the WCW United States Championship. This match I timed it at about 3 minutes because they don't have times on this because it's all flipped and now no one cares for WCW apparently on the wrestling Wikipedia. But I will say, a lot of this match it's a good match. I mean, I think these two guys are pretty good. It's a good match, but a lot of the match is the commentary table talking over about this challenge that Roddy Piper and Ric Flair have made. They don't want to wait for Slamboree. They just want to do it tonight, and that's the conversation. Anyways, Joseph, tell us about the match.
So we get a picture-in-picture with Jeff Jarrett, who says that Dean is the man of 1,000 holds, which means there are 1,001 counters. I actually really like that one. That was pretty good. He's facing Malenko for the U.S. title at Slamboree, and he will earn his respect when he wins the title. Like you said, this match is pretty quick. It is fun, but it is, a fairly easy win for Malenko. He wins this fun match with the Texas Cloverleaf because of the time constraints. I am taking into account the fact that they had to, only be about an hour long. So I'm going to give it a B. Probably should be a C, but I understand what they're working with, so I'm giving it a B.
Yeah, and Dean, for being a little guy, Dean is not very tall. I'm not going to look up how tall he is, but he's not that tall. He power bombs Prince Aaya. And he's got a good looking power bomb for being a little guy. I was like, I see you, Dean. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. But like you said, because of the tight schedule, we roll into our next match because we don't tell stories on WCW anymore. We got Six versus Juventud. Let me see if I can get this right. And it's about a minute. It's about four. I'm sorry, not a minute. It's about 4:30. About 4:30. Tell me.
This is another fun and surprisingly lengthy match given the time constraints that they have. That does ultimately see Six win and retain his title when he locks in the Buzz Killer. Six shouts into the camera, "That's what you get, Flair. You're a punk." Flair and Six, by the way, are starting a very interesting rivalry, kind of outside but inside the scope of this NWO versus Four Horsemen thing. I was shocked this lasted as long as it did, and it was honestly quite enjoyable between both men. We mentioned a couple weeks ago, Six will become the workhorse for NWO. We're there. Last week, this week, we're going to start seeing it regularly. Another very solid match for WCW.
After that, we actually get some story. But first, they were, I can tell you, I was there. I saw it. They were at the table in Atlanta, Georgia. They were at the WCW table. It's just a big table that says WCW on it. I've been there. Like I said, I know. It's actually carved. It's WCW like carved in the table. It's impressive. And Eric was sitting at the head of the table and he's looking at all the things to cut. He says, we only got an hour show this week. What do we cut? This goes. And he gets to this and he goes, no, we can't cut this.
In fact, I believe that the story goes that someone suggested that we cut this segment. Yeah. And that person was fired. It's on the spot.
He was actually thrown out the window
of
the Turner Tower, like hurled, like dead. He's gone.
I love that you said that because now I have to make that fucking meme and put it in the podcast. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I mean, because there is that meme, right? There's that meme you see of the people and it's like, we do this and this guy going out the window. You got to do it. Yeah. No, that's what happened. And he's dead and it's over. But, and that's tragic for his family, but it had to happen. Like,
had to.
For even suggesting that the man had to die. Had to die. Yeah. Lee Marshall with the 1-800-COLLECT Road Report is here. He is live and he's going to Lakeland, Florida for our next Nitro party. And it's hot. Is it not, Joseph? Is it not hot?
Well, it's Lee Marshall and it's a Nitro party. So of course it's hot. He says he's done some scouting in the area. He can tell us about Tiger Town and the spring training home of the Detroit Tigers. It's also the home of some gorgeous Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. Yes. You a big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, Scott? You like Frank Lloyd Wright?
I think he makes some cool houses, But what I really like is that Lee Marshall he's a Renaissance man. You said he goes to Tiger Town, he goes to Frank Lloyd Wright art houses. He also goes to a Native American powwow. Oh my God, what doesn't he do?
Well, yeah, he does a lot, but he's done a little research. Speaking of that Native American powwow, he done a little research and found a lot about the legendary Native American leader Crazy Horse, very very well known Native American leader. But nothing about the Battle of Little Big Brain or of Chief Wedding Weasel. That's the Battle of Little Bighorn, and Chief Wedding Weasel is just a weasel that wets itself joke, and I loved him. A+.
Wow. I didn't know anything about that. I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm a big history guy, so I'm gonna have to really research this because I didn't know anything about that either. And Lee Marshall, I tell you, he's a student of history. He's a student of architecture, sports fan. He just everything.
What doesn't he do?
Everything. He's a Renaissance man. That's what I'm telling you. But before we get to our next match, a little something happens. We get the music hits, and I'm gonna give it to you. Bow, 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 bow. The NWO. I don't know if you knew that. That was NWO's music.
I wish that was how their intro went instead of the NWO. If it just went the NWO. That was it. That'd be so good.
Hogan doing his normal voice. Hogan doing his normal voice that we like, right? It's the bow, 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 and then NWO, brother. Just like I'd be for it. I'd be all right with it. Anyways, they're here. Now they're marching out to the commentary table to give their response to Flair and Piper. What'd you make of this?
Well, first off, let's specify who it is. It's not the entire NWO. It's just Hall, Nash, and Six, just the three of them, which makes sense because they're the ones really in this rivalry. Hall says that they're sitting in the back listening to the dinosaurs talk about how much they want some of the wolf pack. I don't know if this is the first time they've referred to themselves as the wolf pack. It might be the second time, but it's pretty early on for sure. But Hall says, whatever, nobody cares what they have to say. And he says, everyone is really just here for the NWO. Nash says they have a stipulation. Only will they do this match if they get 75% of the gate. He says, when you're this good, you don't come cheap. I loved this line, not because it's a great line. Oh, it's not a bad line by any stretch, but I loved it because that's not how wrestling works. It's not boxing. You don't get, but whatever, He tells Hollywood.
I liked it. It's very NWO though. It's very on brand. Yeah. So I think story wise, I like it.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely don't dislike it. He tells Hollywood to end this, that they miss him and that they're NWO for life. And then it ends. I'm giving it a C. It's not quite as entertaining as the Flair and Piper one, but also they do get more time and they're able to kind of do it. So, yeah, and that moves us into our next match, which is, wow, what a banger idea of a match we've got, Scott.
Whoa. We're not quite there yet.
Okay.
I can't believe you missed this. And maybe I put it in the wrong place in my notes, but I can't believe you passed this up because you're talking about how
if this is the paid announcement, this is not the right spot for it.
Well, then let's move on. Let's not talk about it because that's where I have it in my notes. Is it after this match? Should we talk?
It's after Benois and Regal. Yeah.
Okay. Do I even have Benois and Regal? Did I get drunk?
I think so.
Okay. I completely missed this, bro. I must have taken a pee-pee break.
Okay.
Because apparently there's a Benoit and Regal match. So why don't you tell me about this Benoit and Regal match? I tell you, I take copious notes.
Well, I will say, not a whole lot to talk about. This starts as a technical showcase from both men. It's just superb. It's Benoit and it's Regal. Of course, we're going to love that. And then Benoit's ready to go for his diving headbutt, but Regal prevents it, and he's going for a superplex. And Kevin Sullivan runs in, and he pulls Regal away for some reason, which makes no sense. And then he attacks Benoit. Okay? Love that this is what we got instead. The Dungeon of Doom attack Benoit, and I hate this so much, and it gets an F.
Why are we still doing this? I thought we had the blow-off match. I thought this was done. I don't know.
We had 4 blow-off matches.
It's over. It's over. It's crazy. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say it's madness.
Oh.
Yeah. Because we come back from a commercial break and we've got a paid announcement from the NWO. And it's the Macho Man Randy Savage. And apparently, this situation with DDP has gone so far out of control. It's escalated so quickly. Macho Man tells us the madness is out of control.
Yeah.
And that seems serious, Joseph. Tell me about this.
This is so you said it's Macho Man, it's Miss Elizabeth, and it's the NWO style cuts, all black and white, but the weird cuts where it's like goes back and forth, and you have a lot of that, over and over again. What's that thing called, Scott? I feel like you'd know.
The what?
The film thing. You snap it, you go, scene 1, take 4, clack, whatever that thing is. Whatever. I'll
Google it right now while you do.
The clapper. Okay. So, but this goes all over the place because of these cuts. Nothing is like strung together in one coherent thought. So I now present to you, Masterpiece Theater, Macho Man Randy Savage, because I don't know where this is going and I'm going to try my best. We start off with Mach quite calm after the first snap. NWO for life. Ooh. Almost got a tongue lashing. The madness is something which the Macho Man was trying to keep inside. I am the madness! And now the situation is totally escalated where the madness is totally out of control. Say that again 3 times. Anybody hear what I was talking about? I like it! Hey! Take 1, between you and me, Diamond Dallas Page, the way I see it, is that you and I are on a road to disaster. Right? That's right. Rip Diamond Dallas Page, DDP. I am your master. I didn't know your name before, but I did, but I know it now. The fact is, you're in my world. Kimberly gonna witness the fact that her husband can't handle the Macho Man Randy Savage. Kimberly's been dreaming about the Macho Man Randy Savage. But that just shows she's got class with the capital K. She would like to, but you gotta understand the fact that I am the Macho Man Randy Savage. Your man is not the man that you thought he was. So, next time you meet me, DDP, you're gonna realize that you never should have knocked on the madness door. Because I am your worst nightmare. I like the way you said it. You feel it? You gotta understand something. You're a wannabe. You and Kimberly both. I don't know what your problems are. NWO for life. It doesn't get any stronger than Macho Man. Dig it. Yeah. That's the entire promo.
Beautiful. And you know what? I looked while you were doing that, I looked up what they call that. And you were right, bro. At the end, you said clapper. And that's what it is. It's a clapper board. Yeah, it's a clapper board or a clapboard. You're good, man. I'm impressed by your advanced intellect.
That is such a wild promo. It gets an A+, by the way.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, and I think what makes it better is the NWO stuff. Just the weird, because they do the weird hard cuts and they go like different angles, and like it adds to how nuts this is, how nuts this promo is, because we're just coming from different angles and the weird saturation and all that kind of stuff. It really added to it. It was fantastic. Probably from the WCW perspective, I think it might be the thing of the night.
I agree.
Because after this, this is a short program, and they still kind of peter out halfway through. Because up next, we got a tag team match, and it's Lex and Giant versus the Amazing French Canadians. So we know what's going to happen here. Someone or someones are going to get choke slammed, and it's about 3 minutes.
A technical showcase this is not, but it does pump up the crowd, and sometimes that's all that matters, I guess. Giant hits Rougeau with the choke slam while Luger racks Ouiet with the and they get the win. It's real simple. Not bad. I'm giving it a C. Like you said, 3 minutes, and we're on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of this is to show that Lex and the Giant are kind of like an unstoppable force. Do they ever wrestle Hall and Nash for the tag team titles? Because I feel like that's what this is leading to, and I don't remember that actually ever happening.
I don't know.
Does that happen?
I don't know. Well, they did it. They did it weeks ago. Remember, they won the titles, and then they had to give them up the next night.
Yeah,
that happened weeks ago.
Did they do it again?
Does it happen again? I don't remember.
Because what are we doing? If that's not what we're leading up to, right? It's just like, I don't remember that happening again. But we'll see. We'll see. That's the crazy thing about WCW is they clearly have these ideas. Because I mean, you're doing this. You have to be doing this for the purpose of building to a confrontation with Hall and Nash. And maybe because Hall's not reliable, they weren't really sure what they could do with it. But I don't think it goes anywhere. And they just do this all the time where there's clearly a story that they're trying to do here. And then they just kind of go, whatever. And speaking of stories, this main event, this is the culmination of weeks, months, maybe even years of storytelling. That, I take back everything I just said because this main event is so important.
Yeah.
So important. WCW. Barbarian. I'm going to go with Barbarian first. Barbarian versus Steve Mongo McMichael. And may he rest in peace. But seriously, Greg, he seems like he was actually a genuinely good guy. No negativity towards him on a personal level. But no, this is not your main event on an abridged version of Nitro. You think you want to put on a banger show tonight because you've got this short version. If I recall, I even looked at my notes. But I'm pretty sure WWF Raw is at the normal length.
Yes.
So you're already at a disadvantage.
Mhm.
You're already at a disadvantage in that regard. So put on a banger.
Yeah. Just top to
And
bottom.
this 3-minute match
Clean. Yeah.
is your main event. And I'm going to spoil it, which isn't really a spoiler. Barbarian gets hit with the Halliburton. Come on. Right?
My first note here was, I bet you won't believe this, but Mongo uses the Halliburton. In my opinion, Mongo is way too big of a wrestler to be using the Halliburton to win all his matches. I think it doesn't make sense. He's too big. Too big. If he was a much smaller guy, I'd be fine with it. Yeah. It's wild. It should not be what he's doing. I gave it an F. I don't like it. Yeah, it is what it is. And there's no story.
We don't end there. No. Yeah, that all of that lead up I gave for everyone, just for the record, is sarcasm. If you were thinking, what story? I remember a story about these two. Yes, you are right. There was no story. This is the main event, but we're not quite done yet because we did have the challenge to fight it out tonight. Flair and Roddy Piper versus NWO. Do it tonight. Do we do it tonight? Tell me, Joseph.
There is some fighting that goes on. Flair and Piper come back out. Flair says, why try to go out and fix what is not yet broken? They want the NWO right now. He says he will have to find out if he can take on Hall and Nash, because he's never really had to do that by himself before. But six? He knows he can whip six because he has been world champion more times than Six has had pieces of ass, pal. God damn, what a line. What a line.
Wow.
Like I said before, these two are forming a real hate relationship with each other. Flair bounces off the ropes as they wait for the NWO to come out. Finally, the NWO music hits. No one comes out. Instead, propaganda falls down from the ceiling. Bunch of papers fall down and they say, tradition bites, NWO for life. We don't end here, though. When you think that might be where we end, instead the NWO does finally come out.
Seems like a good place to end, right? With it coming down and just go to black. But no,
we get more. Like Lord of the Rings, we get a lot of endings. So finally the NWO does come out, and Six, it's just the three that have been coming out all night, just those same three. Six charges Flair, who immediately knocks him down. Flair low blows Nash, and then he low blows Hall, and then he re-low blows Nash, and then he figure fours Six. And so it's just him attacking all three of them. The three men then attack Flair, and Piper just stands in the ring watching Flair get his ass beat forever. He then finally runs in just a fucking confusing display and attacks the NWO, but it's a long time of Flair just getting the shit kicked out of him, and then right when Piper joins the fray, we fade to black. I don't know if this is supposed to tease a Piper heel turn, but it went off about as poor as it could. It gets a D.
I don't get it. I don't know. But what I do know is that we got another show across the way, just across the street from Norfolk, Virginia, in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah. It's like
just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. Just throw a stone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Halfway across the country. Not a big deal. Very small country, these United States. But we're there at the Omaha Civic Center in Omaha, Nebraska, April 28th, 1997. And we got a full-on show, unlike WCW, which shit the bed. So there you go. We start with a recap of last week, where Bret Hart got his ass beat. And it's fantastic. Go back and watch last week. If you haven't listened to last week's pod or watched that episode of Raw, it's a good episode to watch.
Yes.
Just Stone Cold puts on a masterclass the entire show.
I will say that episode, for our view count on YouTube, hit over 100 within the first day. Like it took off.
Everyone wants to talk about it.
Because apparently.
It's a great episode.
It is.
It's a great episode of Raw. And it's all because of Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
All because of Stone Cold. But anyways, we have the highlight package from last week to show you that Bret has been gravely injured. And we start the night with Brian Pillman coming out to he's really worried about Bret. He's going to be praying for him. He's a very religious man, is he not, Joseph? Yeah.
Oh, this is related to praying. Pope just died.
Did he wrestle?
You don't remember the Pope wrestling?
I guess not. Well, wrestling demons, my friend.
Ooh.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. Like a Hellboy type situation where apparently there's a interdimensional wrestling federation, kind of like Mortal Kombat, where the Pope and people are wrestling the demons to keep them at bay. Let's write it. Let's book it. Let's write that treatment for that script. We're gonna make $1 million. But anyways, Brian Pillman's out, and this is a weird promo where he just really talks about his faith.
Yes,
and then he's praying for Bret and kind of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I think two things are true in this promo before I get into the details. One, it's an incredible idea that I love. And two, they're never going to go back to it. It's a weird duality. I don't know if because they got letters, I haven't looked into it. I have no idea. But because we are talking about faith, we are talking about religion. And this is the 90s. So that's a pretty hot button topic if you do it incorrectly. Pillman says there are a lot of preconceived notions about him, as well as him being crazy. He says there's a sensitive side to him, and he is deeply religious. He says he's deeply disturbed by his own actions last week, but he had a glorious awakening. He was overwhelmed with the spirit of truth, and he's been praying for all of our misgivings. He wants everyone to join him in prayer. And then he starts to. Coincidentally, a fan has a sign in the background while he's about to pray that says Pillman is God, and I laughed because what a perfect time for that sign. He wants to pray for Bret's speedy recovery. He prays for everyone who enjoyed last week's beatings and shenanigans. He also asks for forgiveness for anyone who enjoyed Austin's actions in general. He begins to weep as he prays for the complete annihilation and destruction of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He calls Bret Hart the savior of the WWF. Stone Cold then shows up on the Titantron and says, "Brian Pillman, for once in my life, I ain't got a lot to say. You better pray that I don't come out there and beat the hell out of you." Speaking of saviors, real quick, not even Bret Hart is going to be able to save your ass. Pillman says he isn't afraid of the devil. It says in the good book, an eye for an eye, and to turn the other cheek. He then bends over and points his derriere at Austin, which I laughed at. I thought that was pretty. He doesn't moon him. He just points his butt at him. Austin is off the Titantron and he comes down in the ring. Pillman tries to grab him as Bulldog and Owen enter the ring, but Austin realizes that this is a trap and he rolls out of the ring and leaves for the crowd. Pillman calls these two individuals Brother Owen and Brother Davey. Again, really cool idea. He says they are still in the midst of their prayer. He says that the family that prays together stays together. He blesses the day and their opportunity to show their thanks. Davey prays for Bret Hart's recovery, and then Owen prays for Bret Hart's recovery as well. Austin is in the back during this, and he grabs an axe out of nowhere, and he rips the head off of it and comes back out with an axe handle while the prayer circle is going on. And then he grabs the mic after they leave because he chases them off. And he says, "I don't know where the hell you're going, but you better give your soul to the Lord and somebody because your ass is mine." This is a string of really, really good ideas, but I think it just missed a territory. The idea of Bret being their Lord and Savior, which is actually how Bret sees himself, is in real life is quite an interesting one, but they don't commit to it, which I thought was kind of a misstep. I think they should have done that. Pillman being a quote-unquote preacher would have been rad. Frankly, I thought he did a really good job in this. But again, we don't get commitment. I think they do a little bit more next week along these lines, but very quickly this will go away. I really liked the idea. I'm giving this a B+.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of it gets kind of weird, but it's not bad, I think, in the idea. After that, the commentators tell us that Bret is on his way. He's coming tonight. Even with his injury, man, what a showman. And then we go to break. We come back from a break. We're backstage with Pillman, and he's praying. He's in the locker room praying for Bret.
Yeah.
So just very, very serious stuff. And then we get into our first match where we get Flash Funk versus Rockabilly. Oh my. I noticed that, and something I did notice just on a side, and I don't think it's happened before, there were no Funkettes.
I didn't notice that, actually. Good
with
call.
Flash. I'm thinking Flash might, they might be thinking that Flash is on them. There you go. Poor Flash.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler.
I think it's over for Flash. 442. Tell me.
Bret Hart arrives during this in an ambulance for some reason. This is to show that he's hurt, but like ambulances aren't taxi services. So that was a weird one. We have a simple match in the ring.
Bret
Billy
they
Gunn
are.
tries to, that's true. For our Lord and Savior, Bret Hart. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Billy Gunn tries to get over the Rockabilly stuff, and it looks so wooden. It doesn't work. Flash Funk hits a Rana, and it was over. As he celebrates his win, Rockabilly attacks him with the guitar in just the stiffest shot to the head. I gave it a D. It's not great. And we move on.
We do. We move to Bret. Bret is now in his wheelchair. He's in a wheelchair. He's getting pushed around by the Hart Foundation. Vince tells us that he suffered a knee injury because of Stone Cold last Wednesday, and he's going to come out now with the Hart Foundation to talk to us. Joseph, what did you make of this?
We see Bret in a wheelchair being told not to go out there, but he says he's gonna. He comes out after the intro from Vin Man. He comes to the stage with a mic and says that he knows where Pillman is coming from, and he loves to see him on his hands and knees praying. He says no matter how much you pray, once in a while a slimy hyena breaks through and makes the kill on a lion. He calls himself the king of the jungle and says he isn't killed, just wounded. He calls Austin the scum of America. He says he realized it isn't just one hyena, it's a whole pack. He calls the crowd that pack. How was this not a reference to HBK? I don't know. Storyline was right there, but instead we take a dig at the crowd. It was HBK who helped him last week. That's your pack. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, he calls Americans a disgrace and himself a real hero. He says what he did, what did he get for his service, rather? Austin trying to end his career. He calls American wrestling fans bloodthirsty. Not really untrue. He says he has had to lower his own standards and that he's sick of him saying that he's the best. The fans are sick of this, rather. Well, that's how the rest of the world feels about the USA. This is a rare good line from promo, and I'll admit, good line from Bret, and I'll admit that I actually ruined it by doubling back on it so many times. But comparing the fact that he always says he's the best in the world, the best there is, the best there was, best there ever will be, and the fans booing it every time and comparing it to how the rest of the world feels about America, like that's actually a really good parallel. That's actually exactly like, Scott, did you ever have this when you were in school? Like they would be like, hey, we're going to do like usually like junior high school, like they would maybe do like a tour to different like you could get nominated to go on like a trip to like a different country or whatever for like a special like scholastic related thing. You never had anything like that? Well, if you did, they would tell the people who were nominated for this, the rich kids, they would tell them, you have to behave yourself because the rest of the world fucking hates you, basically. Like it was a real thing. So this is a good line from Bret Hart, but this really does kind of go nowhere. It just kind of becomes his rambling, and then we just kind of end. And I don't really think it really drive the story any further. I think they could have done this in a different point, made it work a little bit better. It kind of misses it for me. I'm giving it a C.
Meanwhile, Stone Cold's still backstage with that axe handle looking to beat someone's ass. Just after that, they go to Stone Cold with this axe handle, just looking to beat the crap out of someone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do appreciate the fact he took the axe part off. I feel like,
yes.
He wants to maim someone, not murder them. Respect it. After that, though, we got a match. We got the Legion of Doom versus Doug Furnus and Phil LaFon. And it's 3 minutes, 47 seconds. How does it go? Tell me.
The Canadians are asked why they haven't been accepted by the WWF. And they basically say the fans are the problem. It's a very loose tie-in to the Bret Hart stuff that will really go nowhere. They're like, oh, you're Canadian, he's Canadian, we'll kind of make this work, but it doesn't. It does not end up happening. I don't really know why. This match is fun as both teams are very good in the ring in their own ways. Hawk hits a diving clothesline and Doug Furnus, who apparently is a legal man, but I don't think he is, and LOD wins. JR interviews the Canadians and asks what cost them this match. Doug Furnus points out the illegal man problem, which makes sense. JR asks if they're blaming the fans because he's trying to connect them to the Harts, and Phil LaFawn ruins it by just asking for a rematch. This could have been their big break, and and then they shot themselves in the foot. It's a weird thing. What do you think cost you? Oh, it's the illegal man. Do you think the fans had anything to do with it? We want a rematch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to see.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. After that, we get some video from Shotgun Saturday Night where Sunny was modeling something and she gets interrupted by the Headbangers. I don't know why we need to see that. I guess it's because she's now hawking a Stone Cold shirt, but they don't interrupt her here. So I'm not sure why we needed that, but we have it. We have it. And then we go to the locker room where Ahmed Johnson just throwing a shit fit about the nation. He mad. He don't like that nation, man. Does he?
He does not. He's asked about last week with the Sultan, and Ahmed is the most Ahmed that Ahmed can be. He says, you want me to get crazy? I can get crazy. That's not the line, Ahmed. It's,
now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
he describes himself as a gang member. What? Okay. This gets a D. Didn't like it.
Well, all right. Then we get the slam of the week with Terry Reynolds and Dustin attacking Hunter Hearst Helmsley in China, reminding us of that rivalry that's occurring. And then we get the Intercontinental Champion Rocky Maivia versus Owen Hart. This has got to be good. 8 minutes, 26 seconds. Let me see. I think longest match of the night. Yep, it is.
So right before this, and it's not a segment or anything, but it's kind of one of those cut twos. Throughout this night, we've been having cut twos of either Pillman praying or Austin running around looking for someone's ass to beat. Like those are the two things that we've been getting the whole night. And this one is a Pillman praying segment again. But this one I love so much. The other ones are like, oh, okay, whatever. But this one is so great because he's not only praying, he's holding both of Owen's slammies and praying to the slammies. And I laughed so hard at that. We go into the match and Bret, the Christman Hart, and Davey Boy are on the stage to look on as Owen dedicates this match to his loving brother, Bret. Owen then gives a masterclass in technical wrestling and he wins with a clean roll-up. Rocky is essentially dead in the water. He will be around for a couple more weeks before getting hurt and being out until he comes back and joins the Nation to officially start his journey as The Rock that we know and love, and then No Shows Mania. That's a tie-in to last WrestleMania. You get it at home. I don't actually care, but many people lost their shit about that. Owen celebrates by handing the title, rather. I said handling. Yes, handing. Thank you. Handing the title to the Christman, his loving brother Bret. Meanwhile, in the back, Austin has secured his own wheelchair, and I about fell out of my chair laughing about this. I'm giving this whole segment a B+. It was quite good the whole way through.
He wants to fight Bret, and if he's got to be in a wheelchair to do it, mano a mano, make things fair. He's gonna fight in a wheelchair. Yeah, he's got the wheelchair and the axe handle still. It's ridiculous. After that, though, we go to Vince in the ring, and he calls out Stone Cold, but Stone Cold doesn't come out down the ramp. He comes through the crowd with the wheelchair in one hand and the axe handle in the other, and it's another insane, fantastic Stone Cold promo.
It is. He sets up the wheelchair in the ring and he sits down with the mic and his axe handle and he says, "Who wants to see a wheelchair match? All you got to do, Bret Hart, is wheel your little carcass down here, and I promise you have my word that I'll sit here and fight you wheel to wheel," which I laughed so hard at, and the crowd cheers. Then he goes, "I take that back. I ain't going to promise that because I'm a lion SOB. I'd come out of this wheelchair, stomp a mud hole in your ass, and walk it dry." Chef's kiss. The crowd cheers. The whole thing every one of you Harts, Brian Pillman, the whole thing is designed because the last thing you want to see is Stone Cold Steve Austin as the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. You talk about my people. I look in the mirror each and every day and see my people. On May the 11th, The Undertaker, you will indeed see the coldest day in hell, because come hell or high water, 4, 5, 10, 15, or 20 Harts, I'm going to be there and I'm going to whip The Undertaker's ass. You're looking at the next WWF champion, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Bret shows up with the Harts on the Titantron and says, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know that ambulance that I rode in on today? Well, before the night is through, you will be riding in it all busted up in pieces, and that's the bottom line. Austin replies, if anyone's going in the ambulance, it's every one of your asses, and then he heads to the back with his axe handle, and it's an A+. Now, see, again, this is the Bret Hart that I like. Short and sweet. His line made sense. It played into the ambulance thing that I was like, why do we have an ambulance here? It works. I love this. I gave this an A+.
And there you have it. After that, though, I don't even know if we need to go into detail about this next segment because it's just weird.
It is.
We go back to the Vader Good Morning Kuwait international incident where the guy said wrestling was fake and he grabbed him, and then he went to jail in Kuwait for a little while. But then that's the purpose of that is to bring in Ken Shamrock, who is supposedly wrestling Vader, but he's making it about Mike Tyson because they're not sure if Vader's going to actually be available to wrestle. But we also know Mike Tyson's going to want to wrestle. Like, have they done that? They show some UFC footage from Ken Shamrock to show what an absolute killer he is. And then we end with some photos of him hanging out with his kids, which I feel like kind of completely diffuses the world's most dangerous man thing. He'll kill you. And then he'll go home and spend time with his wife and children. I guess. Is that what it is? I guess. I don't know. But like.
Oh, so first off, Vader is back in the U.S. now. That's one of the things we're talking about. We get like you mentioned, it's kind of like a babyface vignette for Ken Shamrock to be like, look at how he rises to the challenges. And kind of to your point, this ain't it. Shamrock is supposed to be the most dangerous man alive. Why are you trying to humanize him? Doesn't make any sense. We get a teaser that next week we're going to continue this, and we'll get to see the man within the machine as we meet his family and their very bad walking dog.
Yeah, the world's most dangerous man can't train his dog.
No,
it's wild. But yeah, like like I said, the Mike Tyson thing was because of we didn't know if Vader was gonna be back.
Right.
But he's back because he's in the next match. It's Vader versus Jesse James, of all people. 1 minute, 34 seconds. I wonder what's going to happen.
Vader beats his ass. Then he gets interviewed by JR. JR asks if Vader has any remorse for his actions. Vader says essentially that he doesn't, and he does his job of beating up people very, very well. He apologizes for nothing and to no one. JR asks if Vader overreacted in Kuwait. Vader calls JR a big mouth and says he can finish that Kuwait interview with JR if he'd like to, and then he pushes JR around. They're trying to show that Vader is a bully here. That's the point, because Shamrock has called him a bully multiple weeks in a row. He chokes JR, and Ken Shamrock runs in and hits a belly-to-belly, and Vader rolls out of the ring. Shamrock grabs a mic and says then when they get in the ring, it won't be Vader time, it'll be hard time. It isn't perfect, but I do like the direction they're going with it, so I'm giving it a C+.
I liked you want to finish the Kuwait interview line. I thought there was some good stuff in here, and we're trying to sell this Shamrock Vader rivalry. It was fine, even though both guys aren't the greatest when it comes to mic work and that sort of stuff.
Right.
After that, though, we go to the dressing room. Goldust is there, and he's telling Marlena he's got a match tonight against Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he says, Marlena, you stay back here tonight. It's going to get wild.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our match. And I mean, you talk about both. I'll jump into the match and you can talk about that if you want to. That brings us to our match, Goldust versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley, 7 minutes, 49 seconds.
I do like that he says that this is no place for a lady. Yeah, but what about Marlena? Boom! No, actually, Marlena seemed like a really nice.
Whoa!
She seems like a really lovely person.
Terrible.
I'm not taking a
Terrible.
shot at Terry Reynolds. She seems great. Goldust just runs
Justin
in.
will find us.
Yeah, he's divorced, but he'll still beat our ass for it for sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
Goldust just runs in and starts swinging. Speaking of beating ass, he just runs in and just goes for it. Eventually, Marlena does arrive, and she throws some sort of powder in Chyna's face. Chyna is blind because of this, and she thinks that she's grabbed Goldust, but she's actually grabbed Hunter, and she's choking him out, like literally lifting him, choking him out. And it's fantastic. And because of this, Goldust wins via countout because Hunter is stuck outside getting his ass beat by Chyna. I actually really enjoyed this little wrinkle. It's very simple, but I gave it a B.
And then after that, and even before like everyone's left, like they're still going up the ramp.
Yeah.
We get Undertaker on the Titantron for an interview. And he doesn't really care what happened to Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
At the pay-per-view. What did you think of this?
Taker says the one who covets the flame ends up burned. I thought that was a pretty decent line. Then Vin Man asks him about Austin. Taker says if Austin comes into their rematch distracted, then he will leave in a wheelchair. We're going back to the wheelchair theme. I like it. Not perfect. I'm going to give this one a C. It was simple and very quick, so I appreciate that. But yeah, weirdly timed with them still going up, and they go right into this. But oh well.
But what a segue, because we had the Undertaker interview, and then we've got Sonny hawking an Undertaker shirt. Wow, this is storytelling. I do note this because Doc Hendricks actually kind of has a banger line here, and I was like, this might be the best Sonny Hawk promo I've seen, where he says she wears this shirt to sleep so she can rest in peace. That's a good line. That's a good line. Don't say that's not a good line.
That's a good line.
After that, though, we go back again to Pillman. He's still praying. He's praying that Davey Boy cripples the Undertaker, because Davey Boy's got a match against the Undertaker, and he's praying that Davey Boy cripples the Undertaker. My God, this is getting wild. Followed up by then we go to another shot of Stone Cold again, just wandering the hallways looking to fight somebody. It's good stuff. But that brings us to our main event. We got the Undertaker. We got British Bulldog. We got 4 minutes, 8 seconds. Tell me.
Bret and Owen stay at the stage this time and watch to support Bulldog. Bulldog grabs a mic and also dedicates this match to the Christman. Bret Hart is Bulldog's inspiration, and he loves him. Taker quickly dismantles Bulldog and hits a chokeslam on him. Owen interferes for the DQ, and both men attack Taker. Then Austin runs in through the crowd to even the odds. They chase off both men, and Austin grabs the title and holds it high at the turnbuckle. He turns to see Taker staring at him. He throws the title down and hits Taker with a stunner. Then he celebrates and flips off Taker, who wakes up and chokes Austin. Austin sells a chokeslam perfectly and rolls out of the ring. Taker stands tall in the ring, but Austin notices that Bret Hart is by himself on the ramp in his wheelchair. He charges Bret, and he's about ready to beat Bret. Bret actually grabs his crutches, and he's kind of hobbling away. He's towards the edge of the stage. He's cornered. He's got nowhere to go. And then from behind, Jim the Anvil Neidhart attacks Austin. Bret slams the crutch across Austin, and the anvil helps Bret to the back. Austin, when he got slammed with the crutch, falls off the stage, takes a stage dive. He gets carted to the back, and we cut to Pillman, who is smiling backstage. I gave this an A. I thought it worked on every single front. I love the storytelling in this. Also, we get the return of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, which is awesome too. So loved it.
It appears that Pillman's prayers were answered.
True.
So there you go. The power of prayer, my friend. The power of prayer. So that brings us to the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a great way to end with Pillman's just maniacal smile as we fade to black. I think it's great. Which I'm going to ask the question because I always got to ask the question, but I know the answer. Who won tonight?
it's wild that WCW is still winning in the ratings like this far in because Raw has been better consistently week after week for at least the last month and a half, maybe 2 months. Like it's insane. Raw is better again.
Well, you're absolutely right. Raw was the better program tonight. Well, they're telling stories, which, we can't beat this dead horse enough, that the stories are what make this interesting.
Yes.
We're fans of good technical wrestling, but that can only take you so far. That's the AEW problem, that they've gone, that's all they have. And so now they're just resorting to more and more and more dangerous things to keep that going rather than just telling good stories.
And you know what's the crazy part of that? Real quickly on the AEW side, they're probably their best star right now is Toni Storm, women's wrestler Toni Storm. And she's done this whole gimmick change, timeless Toni Storm. Has happened a while back. And she is telling by far the best stories in AEW. And she is the most interesting thing in AEW. To me, she's probably the standout. She's better than Will Ospreay. She's better than Kenny Omega. She's better than all these amazing technical wrestlers because she is telling better stories. And it's wild. Like there's this thing where like the internet wrestling community is very toxic, right? And there's this interesting thing that's happened where it's like people talk shit about people who are like WWF diehard or WWE diehards rather, who are just like annoying, just as annoying as the AEW diehards. They're talking shit about, AEW, and AEW fans are talking shit about WWE. But there's a few like bubbles that people just kind of skirt around, and Toni Storm is one of them. And the reason is because she's telling fucking great stories. She's a great wrestler and telling great stories. So no one can say that she's not fucking good at what she does because you're telling great stories, goddammit. Just do that thing.
Yeah, well, and I think when you're putting on a weekly television program, if you want people to tune in every single week, it's going to be for the stories, right? Otherwise, you're just going to look at the card, right? If it's just for the matches, you're going to look at the card and go, there's nothing really here that I care to watch. Like, I'm not interested in these matches, right? That's how you're going to make your decision. When you're telling stories, you're like, well, I may not really care for the lineup tonight, but I don't want to miss I don't want to miss the next part in the story, right? And that's why I'm actually now I'm excited to. It's crazy because I grew up watching WCW and I have just this crazy nostalgic view about WCW, and I'm watching now going, oh, this crapped out real fast. And I'm enjoying watching WWF, which I was not watching at the time because I thought it sucked because everyone said it sucked.
Yeah.
And I look forward to watching the WWF stuff. I don't look forward to watching WCW right now. WCW is going to get better. It's going to have its moments. DDP's going to come to his own. Sting's going to come to his own. We're going to get Goldberg. There's going to be some good stuff in WCW. But right now, they're just resting on their laurels. And it's crazy to me, like you said, that they stayed at the top of the ratings for so long doing what they're doing right now.
Do you do this thing? Because this is how I do it, where like the one that I'm not looking forward to taking notes on is the one I watch first.
Yes.
Yeah. So for a good long time, I was watching Raw first just to get it the fuck out of the way. Get it out of the way because it's going to kill me. It's going to bug me.
It's a palate
cleanse. I can go in.
Second one's palate cleanse. Yeah.
Go to WCW and enjoy it. And now I'm the opposite where I'm like, oh God, WCW is going to be so boring. And they've got some good things going for them right now. They do have some interesting things. We've been very vocal on that. The DDP Mach stuff. We do like the Four Horsemen, but we're really not the Four Horsemen, but really just Flair and Piper and the NWO. We like that thing that's going on. But there's a lot that's like it's sad that you can just fast forward a match and know exactly what's happening. Like that's not good. But yeah, so now I just watch all of WCW up front and then I go to WWF and then I have a good time. And then I enjoy things again. So
I apparently completely memory hold a Steven Regal Chris Benoit match, which is crazy for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not in my notes. It's just, there's nothing there. And like, I must have taken a pee break or something and just come back and be like, I don't care to see what I missed. Whatever. Like, whatever. But I love Steven Regal. I love Chris Benoit. And whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's going nowhere. There's no story attached to it. There's no story attached to any of it for the most part. And I think on that rant, a rant that people are going to probably hear a lot of for a long time, that they've already heard and they're going to continue to hear because it's true, I think we're done.
All right.
Are you good?
I think I'm good, man.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Monday Night Wars. Like, comment, subscribe, smash that follow button, Twitter, I don't know, whatever those things are. Apparently, we need to say that. Thank you so much for listening. To those subscribing, thank you so much for subscribing. We do this for you. So if you like it, if you don't like it, tell us. If the audio's bad,
real quick,
tell us.
There's a person. There is a person who keeps replying on Spotify, keeps making comments. We'll put this at the end. Hopefully they respond to it. Their tagline or their handle is Butt Munch, which is hilarious. But they keep talking. They keep talking to us about like, hell, really like how you did this, or like this was interesting or whatever. Like, who are you? Do we know you? Like, and I don't mean that like in a negative way. Like, yeah, Butt Munch. Let us know who you are. Like reach out if we are friends with you, reach out. If we're not friends with you, become friends with us, man. All right. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I'm serious. Bye, everybody. We're doing this for you. If you like it, tell us. If you don't like it, tell us. We'll try to make it better if we can. Anyways, thank you. Goodbye.